Jim Longworth, and welcome to another edition of Triad Today. Coming up later on, our infamous roundtable gets together. We'll see kind of controversies we get into with them. That's later on. But between now and then, some great guests and important information coming your way. For one thing, we'll tell you about a new birth center. That's good news for some prospective new moms. We'll give you all the details on that. We'll also tell you about a big event coming up that's going to help hospice, help others. All that, plus some news from UNCG and much more. But first, let's start out talking about back-to-school backpacks with two folks who make it a very successful program, an important program. Next to me, on my immediate right, she's been with us before. I'm so glad she came back. She's such a busy person. We're glad to have her for a few minutes. The Honorable Chief of Police of Winston-Salem, Katrina Thompson. Welcome back.
Thank you, sir.
And David Daggett, our buddy from Daggett Schuler, attorney Daggett Schuler, without Griff today, but he's tied up with
taking care of business.
That's right, taking care of business. But David, welcome. I'm going to just, Lori, our director, I just want to start over on the far end. I'm going to be rude to Chief for just a second. Go to David. Let's talk about the back-to-school backpack program. In case somebody hasn't heard about this, what is it and how is it different from other programs we've heard about?
Yeah, so I want to first say Chief Thompson and her leadership is involved in a lot of programs around Winston-Salem and several different back-to-school backpack programs. This program is a little bit different in that each student gets a very high quality, sturdy, durable backpack, and these backpacks are completely full with all the school supplies they need to get them started.
I think it's great. Let's hold this up. Let's hold up a little bit, David, so we can see that.
Yeah. So very nice backpacks. They're not labeled. There are 6 different colors, so there's no stigma for the kids.
Right.
And we have crayons, paper, notebook, pencils, scissors, erasers, everything they need to get going.
Now, are there a limited number of schools that you're working with, or how does that work?
Well, with this program, we work with 5 schools, and what we're doing is targeting the pockets of needy students in schools that otherwise may not be so needy. So, for example, Whitaker Elementary School.
Right.
You have a fairly high socioeconomic level across a good part of the board, but you got pockets of extreme need, and those students are really put behind and stigmatized.
Right. Chief, why is this such a good program? Why is it so important?
Well, for anybody who's ever heard me speaking at all, it's important to me because it's about our children. And our children becomes the adults in our community. And as a result of that, if we can give our children the opportunity, first off, to know that there are people there that are supporting them, that are behind them, but also that we're willing to sponsor them in any way possible to help them be successful, that's going to be the game changer. I think we all know that the big issue here, that education is the great divide, and it can be the great connector as well. And so for me, it's important because it's a bridge to help guide our kids to supportive
And I guess it means a lot too, having guys like Daggett Schuler involved with it, right?
Oh, it's wonderful having partners like Daggett Schuler involved in helping us with this work. They do a fantastic job.
David, as we start to wrap up, and I want to make sure we get some time to put up some websites, feedback, any indication of how it's been working?
Oh, absolutely. We've taken these pockets of needy students in these schools, put them on an equal footing. Research shows that the beginning of the school year can be the most instrumental time in a young person's life. And if we can get them started on the right foot, like Chief Thompson says, we can get them moving in the right direction. The other thing is, I just want to speak real quickly to the leadership of Chief Thompson and her department and how that permeates through our community. And we were going to one school and they were having a kindergarten thing going on. A kid broke away from the kindergarten group, ran across, grabbed an officer by the leg and gave him a hug.
Isn't that something?
Well, that's something, but that doesn't just happen. That's been built in our community, the respect in knowing that our police officers are on our side.
Absolutely.
And that's very important.
Absolutely. Up on screen, a couple things I wanted you to take a look at. City of Winston, well, it's cityofws.org/departments/police. That'll get you some information about the Chief's department. And of course, DaggettSchulerLaw.com. You can check that out for all sorts of great information about the great things that those guys do for their clients and for the community. And you even have a little note in here to the backpacks, and it gives some good advice to the kids. I just think it's great what your team is doing together, and I applaud both of you. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having us on.
For having us.
We'll be right back after this. Back now on Triad Today. At the beginning of the show, I mentioned that we would have good news for prospective moms, and indeed we do. And to help deliver that good news, and I guess I used a pun by saying deliver, and I didn't mean to, next to me a very special guest and first-time visitor to Triad Today. We're so glad he could be with us. Dr. Joshua Nitchie. He's Chief Medical Officer of the Birth Center at Wake Forest Baptist Medical Center. Good to see you, sir.
Hello. Nice to meet you.
Thanks, Doc, for being able to take a few minutes with us. Now, I understand that Wake Forest Baptist has just opened this brand new, state-of-the-art birth center and a NICU unit, I think, as well. What does this mean for Triad area? I'm not going to say Triad area moms, but Triad area almost moms.
Mm-hmm. So now women of Winston-Salem have another option of where to get their prenatal care and deliver their babies, essentially.
Yeah.
You know, we've been in the community for a very long time, you know, since 1923, and we're really happy to, you know, have everyone kind of all together under one roof to, you know,
That's right.
help out moms-to-be.
What kind of, I mean, I know that we could take an hour going over the kinds of services and labor and delivery services, but let's just hone it down just to give me some examples of a few things that are offered to prospective moms and people that come in for the labor and delivery services at this new center. What can they expect?
Yeah, we're really thrilled that we can basically offer the whole range of delivery types and birthing types. We can take care of young, healthy, low-risk moms. We can take care of moms with very serious medical conditions or babies with very serious birth defects or medical conditions, or, you know, any of the women in between.
Right. And I guess I'm wondering, since, you know, of course, Wake Forest Baptist Medical Center is just world-renowned for research and world-renowned for some of the clinical things, academic medical center. How does all that come into play in terms of being advantageous for the prospective moms that are coming in under your care?
Well, one of the things I really enjoy about my job is how kind of interdependent we are on lots of other specialties, both pediatric and adult. So as an academic medical center, we have kind of the state-of-the-art, you know, experts and people with experience in all sorts of areas. So we can take care of moms with very severe heart disease. We can take care of babies that'll need surgery immediately after birth.
Right.
And as an academic medical center, as women can get that care all under one roof and don't need to be referred to somewhere else.
That's very comforting to know that, you know, if you need that kind of thing, that you guys are there with it. What if a mom prefers to have a midwife-assisted birth?
Sure, we offer that as well. We have midwives as part of our team on labor and delivery. We also have some alternative birthing suites that can, you know, meet women's needs that want maybe a slightly less medicalized delivery, let's say.
Right.
But as you mentioned, you know, if a lot of things in obstetrics are unpredictable and kind of happen out of the blue.
Right.
So if complications do...
I happened out of the blue. My parents didn't know I was coming.
So if complications do arise in the women that are otherwise healthy and low risk, we have the facilities and the personnel to handle them.
I want to go off script for just a second before we run out of time and ask you something personal. I know you told me beforehand we got going. You're from Teaneck, New Jersey.
Yes.
What or who led you into the medical field?
Sure. It was actually my pediatrician as a boy.
How about that?
Dr. Kolsky. I remember him very well. And I never really worried about going to the doctor because it was always comforting and fun to be there.
Right.
And, you know, as I got a little older, I thought that was normal initially, and as I got older, I learned that, you know, a lot of my friends and family members had a lot more apprehension about going to the doctor. And knowing how he made me feel and how he kind of took such good care of me, it made me want to do that for other people.
Isn't that great? I just think that's super that you're motivated by that. I had a very stern pediatrician, by the way. You know, from the very moment they slapped me, it just continued. Before we lose time, I want to make sure we get this up on screen. www.wakehealth.edu/birth center, and that can get folks to the website, get more information about some of the services, maybe get some of their questions answered so that they feel like they know what's going on there. And I hope they will check that out. I was born 65 years ago at Baptist Medical Center when it was just called Baptist Hospital. What if I'd been born with all these new services? Would I have turned out different?
It's hard to say.
Hard to say. See, he's very diplomatic, isn't he? Doc, thanks for all you do. Will you
my
come
pleasure.
back sometime?
Yes, I will, of course.
All right. Well, we'll be right back after this. Back now on Triad Today, we have a first-time visitor to the program, and she comes from my alma mater, although they don't claim me. Next to me is a very lovely Beth Fisher. She's Vice Chancellor of Advancement at UNCG. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Jim. It's always great to sit with an alumnus.
Oh, yeah. Now, before I ask you about some of these technical things, like what your job means and all that, because that's a fancy word, advancement. First, just let me ask you very quickly, what brought you to UNCG? I'm interested in that.
Well, a couple of things, actually. So first, the leadership. Chancellor Gilliam and my peers across campus, great people at UNCG, really fantastic. But the thing that really sticks with me and has a lot of heart is that my mom is also a graduate.
Right.
In fact, none of my grandparents had a college degree, so much like a lot of our students now, she was a first-generation college student. And I know that the degree from UNCG changed her life, and it certainly created opportunities for me, and I am here to help do the same thing for our students.
Great legacy there, I'm glad. Now let me get to the technical stuff. It says Vice Chancellor of Advancement. The folks at home might be sitting there and say, wait a minute, what does that mean?
Yep.
What do you do?
A lot of things, which is why I like it. But what does it mean? I serve as the leader of the team that builds relationships with our donors, with our alumni, and in our community. We make sure we're telling our story, and we do all this so that we can gain philanthropic support so that all the deserving students have the opportunities that they need.
Yeah, because as Chancellor Gilliam and I have talked about before when he was on the show, a lot of people mistakenly think that if you're a public university, that taxpayers' dollars pay for everything, and they don't. And then we rely on donors, and I think what you're doing is very important. Now, you wrote something somewhere, I don't know if I saw it in an email or an article, and you were quoted as saying that UNCG offers a transformational experience. Fancy phrase. Transformational experience for students. What did you mean by that?
Well, it's a lot like my mom. We serve a very high financially needy population. 80% of our students receive financial aid. Almost 40% are first generation. We have a large rural population, and because of those things, we grant a college degree once it's been earned, of course, and we transform their futures just the same way that my mom's course and path was transformed, and I know mine was too.
Do you think that, I mean, if, of course, you weren't here 20 years ago, but I mean, in the statistics that you've come across, do the alumni from UNCG tend now to stay more in the area or less in the area after graduating than they might have 20 years ago?
Right, that's a great question. So we have 120,000 alumni, 35,000 are here in the Triad, 75,000 are in the state or within about 150 miles of campus.
Now say that again, 75,000 are within 100 miles of here?
Correct.
Good grief.
But I will also tell you, I have visited with alumni in New York and DC and Atlanta and all over Florida. We have large populations in California. So, you know, we have a lot of alumni who stay put, but we are also really getting out there and expanding.
Branching out. When you pass by the campus, you see a lot of construction going on. Cranes and all this stuff very quickly. I don't want you to name the buildings and all that stuff, but my question is broader than that. All the new building, the things that are going up, are they going to contribute to this transformational experience that you talked about?
Absolutely. There's so much momentum on campus. It's one of the reasons I'm there. And yes, we're building new STEM labs. We are hoping to expand and renovate our library. All of that contributes to the student experience and enhances it so they get a top-notch education.
I think that's great. That's great. Now, I want to put up on screen the general website. And it can take you to a lot of places to learn about the university, www.uncg.edu. I'll say it again for the radio listening audience on WSJS, uncg.edu. So if you're interested in going there, if you're a high school student or a parent or a guardian, if you're interested in making a donation, if you're an alumnus who would like to get more active, there are all sorts of places you can go on that website to find out. And Beth Fisher, thank you for coming.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks for all you do for the university.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after this. Now on Triad Today, and I'm always glad when this lady can stop by and give us a few minutes of her time because what she and her team do at Mountain Valley Hospice and Palliative Care is so important. And I'll tell you that from firsthand knowledge. They do great work. Next to me, the lovely Sheila Jones, Director of Marketing and Public Relations for Mountain Valley Hospice and Palliative Care. Welcome back, my friend.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Before we talk about some exciting things going on that are going to help everybody in the area in terms of hospice and hospice care and honoring hospice patients and families, let's first just remind everybody what hospice is and who you serve.
We care for a large population in North Carolina and Virginia, about 17 counties here, and we care for those who might have a serious illness.
Right.
Anyone with a prognosis of 6 months or less, and any that might fall right outside of that, we can help them in those programs as well.
And when you say, that's important when you say outside, we can almost take a half hour to talk about what falls outside of that, because there can be some situations where under palliative care, you're not in the terminal state at that point, but
Correct.
you need some help and care. And so maybe that's something we could explore later, but you do a great job. All right, now, you sent me an email a couple weeks ago saying that there was something new, something with transportation. What is that about?
Oh yes, we're excited. We are now able, due to a cost savings issue as well as trying to do better continuity of care for our patients, providing our own ambulance transport for our patients within our organization.
Wow. Now, what is that going to mean for the patient?
Take a patient who is having to come from Baptist Hospital, maybe going to our Wiltz Hospice home, transferring from there. Sometimes their wait for non-emergency transport is 5 to 7 hours.
Oh, man.
We realize that a patient that's been told they have 6 months or less to live, the urgency for us begins. And so we don't want them sitting there having to wait, because regular transport is another ambulance service or an EMS service that they do that during their non-emergent times. So rather than these patients wait, we opted to get our own vehicle.
That's great.
What does that also do for us is that we were slated to spend possibly in the upcoming year about $350,000 in ambulance cost alone doing that for our patients.
Wow.
To buying the vehicle ourselves and employing the EMTs ourselves, we're saving roughly more than half of that.
That's great. And
so
being
that's
a
huge cost
nonprofit, you're a
savings.
nonprofit hospice, which means you don't turn people away like some of these places that are all
Exactly.
about profit. And well, maybe you don't qualify. That's not you guys. You take everybody in who needs care.
Well, it's not. We can consider that we're a community organization, and that's a community's money. So we got to do the best job possible with it. So this is one of the ways that we've done that.
Absolutely.
And not to mention the continuity of care, and they're being cared for by hospice patients, by hospice staff. So that ownership and that it's just going to be better all around.
That's just exciting. Now I want to get something
really
that's also
cool.
exciting that's going to help you raise funds. I'm holding this white bag. Now you can't really read anything on it, but it's reminding me as I hold it up to ask you about this big event that's coming up. What's the name of the big event coming up?
The big event is called the Night of 1,000 Lights.
And what does that mean?
The 1,000 lights represent the more than 1,000 patients that we had cared for in North Carolina. So this is our first event for North Carolina. We're hoping to do one next year in North Carolina and Virginia. We had to start somewhere, and it's just to honor those families that we had served. We're going to have a family night, a family event, food trucks, live music, bouncy house, games for kids, and then we're going to line the pathway with these luminarias, and each one represents a patient that we had served.
You'll put what? Put a little candle in there?
There'll be
or something?
something in there to light it up, and it's going to be on a pathway.
Right.
Chad Tucker's going to come be with us, and
Right.
we're going to share that moment with all those folks and just make some memories, encourage folks to make some memories.
Honor the patients. Also, the families are there and families can meet other families.
Families can meet other families. There's sponsorships available. The money, it's a fundraiser, but also it's going to turn around and support what we've already been doing and help folks kind of have those good memories of the loved ones. And then people can buy luminaries and honor their family.
Speaking of fundraising, you have an auction?
There's going to be a silent auction there as well.
Yeah, so people can bid on some really neat items. I think there's been some rocking chairs that were designed or decorated.
One of the rocking chairs I just saw the other day was a pet peace of mind theme. We've talked about that program before.
Right.
And so a Girl Scout troop in Virginia did a pet peace of mind theme on their rocker. They sanded and painted and did artwork on it with that
Isn't
theme.
that
So it's really
something?
cool. They said fur babies are pets too, are people too.
That's right. And that's an important part of the whole scheme of services that you guys offer. So the auction, everything will be there. Up on screen, the website, mtnvalleyhospice.org. Please check that out. Please plan to support, either attend or help support this very big event. And you can always make a donation. And you can always call up and ask if you can qualify to be a volunteer to help out, because you guys always need volunteers. Sheila Jones, thanks for all you do.
I'm looking forward to being in the kids zone and doing the bouncy house with the little ones.
Yeah, you're going to do the kids'
fun.
activities, aren't you? Well, you're young enough to do the kids. I'm not young enough to do it. Thanks for everything. We'll be right back after this. Today, and it's time for our round table. People like the round table. They like to get it. Yeah, they do. And except when you're here all the time. So that's on my right, but always a political left, Ogie Overman, the great award-winning broadcaster journalist. Next to him, former Sheriff of Guilford County, B.J. Barnes, who I believe is now running for mayor of Summerfield. Is that correct? All right. We can say that we're not yet in the political season. Keith Granberry is not running for anything. He's been traveling around the world, and we're trying to get Keith to run for Congress.
No, we're not.
Yeah, Keith Granberry, founder of Helping Hands Consultants. Guys, I want to start out with two very serious questions about the El Paso and Dayton shootings. I don't want to get into the whole thing about the 20 different things Congress needs to do because they've let us down so often. But I want to focus in on this thing that Trump wants to do with this federal red flag law. Which would, as you know, would allow family members or police to remove guns from somebody they think is a danger to themselves or others. Whatever you think of Trump, because other people have suggested the same thing, red flag, is it a good first step to prevent mass shootings, Ogie?
You know what? It is, but don't tell Trump that the Democrats proposed this about 10 years ago. So, yeah, it's a good idea, absolutely. I'm for it.
I think it's a great idea. I've got no problem with it at all. I don't think it's the first step, though. Congress ought to do their job, the first step.
Well, I mean, as sheriff, though, you knew you had your finger on the pulse of guys that were, either mentally ill or domestic violence abusers or whatever. You sort of had your own red flag informal thing, right, anyway?
Exactly, but the red flag part of it that goes is it has to go through the court system. Yeah. That's what I like.
Yeah, Keith.
So you're telling me that people can take guns away from family members that they think are mentally ill?
If they think that you're a danger to yourself or others
as well.
Yeah, you'd have to petition the court, and then if the court said, okay, you do have a case,
I don't think it goes enough. I think you need. I think we need to start with getting assault weapons out of the hands of individuals. What are assault weapons needed for in today's society?
Well, I
don't understand it.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I want to go off of that. This was my other question, too, since you brought it up. Guys, there are more guns in America than there are people. We know that. So I try to tell people, and my friends like, Ogie, who's a little bit more left than I am, and I said, look, you can ban assault weapons. They'll just go out and beg, borrow, steal one because there's 360-some million guns out there. My thing is to go way left, way liberal on this and say, let's get rid of all of them. Let's make it illegal to possess an assault rifle, even if you have it legally. Do a buyback program, whatever you have to do. Put some teeth into that so that we don't have any. Ogie?
As much as I wish that could happen, it can't, Jim. The Second Amendment people will go ballistic, and I kind of agree that once you got it, what if we could register the guns, give it a number, have it registered to you personally, so that if it ever gets taken from you, it has to, just kind of like a car.
Yeah, BJ.
Not only can it happen, it won't happen because of the fact that you start dismantling the Constitution, the amendments and all like that, then you run into problems. My problem with that, and you're probably going to be surprised to hear me say this, is I do have a problem with 100-round magazines, for example. But as far as assault weapons, anything that you use to hurt someone else can be an assault weapon.
Semi-automatic pistols is another
exactly.
thing. Keith?
We all understand the definition of assault weapons, but when you have a machine that's used for war out for the general public, is dead wrong, and it should be banned.
Yeah.
I don't think that we can look at it and say, oh, the Second Amendment. Amendments have been changed. Black people just got the right to vote in 1965. So we can change amendments. We just need to look at this as a problem in America.
Right.
It is a problem.
I agree. Let's go local and change the subject. High Point officials are considering a move to take back control of their own city schools and away from Guilford County. Ogie, good idea, bad idea?
They have no idea what they're getting themselves in for, Jim. And BJ tell you too, it's crazy. They said that house, they don't want to do it. Bad idea.
BJ.
It's a bad idea. It's a very bad idea. I mean, there is value in being able to buy in volume, to be able to do the things they need to do, and plus to have an equal education, you need to have it equal across the board.
But sometimes, Keith, I've talked to some folks in High Point. They feel like they're getting short shrift in High Point, that Greensboro gets most of the attention and the other thing. What do you think about it?
I think it's a terrible idea. I think they need to think about it, and they need to think about the kids. You can't. If you're looking at money coming into the city versus the kids, I think it's a problem. I think they need to keep it the way it is and create more funding for the underperformed schools. That's what they need to do.
Let's do a light topic here. We've been so serious and increasing. Well, it's a serious thing, but it's a real story. An increasing number of lawmakers want to change Halloween to the last Saturday of October. So it won't be the 31st. It'll be the last Saturday of October. Because right now kids are saying, well, Mom won't let me stay out late if Halloween falls on a weeknight, or I am staying out late and it caused problems at school. What do you guys think about changing and having the federal law that says it's going to be the last Saturday in October? Ogie.
No, Halloween's got to be the 31st. But I didn't even like making Mondays official holidays, really. It should
So
be
you're
the
for
day
that?
that it falls on. Yeah.
BJ.
I think it's a great idea. I mean, you know, having to police the kids on Saturday night and different things like that. I mean, Saturday night would be the time to have it.
Keith, you like to go out on Halloween on
Why do I like to go out? When have I ever went out?
I don't know. I
I
have no
just like
idea.
to knock on doors and get candy. Is
Yeah,
that what it is?
that's right, yeah. Keith has come to my house many times.
That's right.
And he knocks on the doors, and I'd like to have some candy, but that's a whole nother
You know,
show.
I'm gonna have to agree with BJ on this. I think it's better if you can have something like this on the weekend, so the kids can enjoy themselves.
Enjoy it more.
And
All right.
have fun.
Finally, Elon Musk says he hopes to one day implant a computer chip in everyone's brain so we can all interface with each other more effectively. Guys, would you like to have a computer put in your brain? Ogie.
No, but you know what? It will happen. We won't live to see it, fortunately, but by the next century, we'll be like cyborgs.
But
Yeah.
BJ, if you
It'll
had a
happen.
computer in your brain, you would know what Ogie and Keith are thinking.
No, but I'm afraid of TDs.
Yeah. What is it? No.
Computer transmitted diseases.
Yeah, the computer transmitted disease. Keith, would you like a computer in your brain?
I like to put a computer up his butt. It doesn't make no sense.
Who's he? Elon?
No, Elon, it doesn't make sense. We
Yeah. Are you talking about Elon Musk
Yeah,
or BJ?
both.
All right.
You'll have
man.
easier time with Elon.
That's right. That's right.
Oh man, that's all the time. Fortunately, it's all the time we have. So I want to mention this. Scientists now confirm that the Milky Way galaxy can best be described as, quote, warped, twisted, and full of gas. Hey, they stole our slogan, said Fox News. For all of us, BJ didn't like that though. For all of us here at Triad Today, I'm Jim Walker. We'll see you next week.